It's the real estate show. We've come to sell DR.
Am I still on?
Your voice sounded robotic for a little bit, then went to normal.
And here we go. Mario Crestman is my guest. We're talking everything Dominican Republic and everything real estate. Buckle up and welcome aboard. My mouse is freezing, which means, the producer got it. Mario, I appreciate your time. We had a little bit of technical difficulties the last time around, so thanks for your patience. You're in a better broadband location. I got my cord plugged in, and now my broadband seems to be hacking out. So anyway, good to see you, man. You clean up well. Your picture on your website is mucho. How do you say it in Spanish? Gropo? How do you say handsome in Spanish? No homo.
Muy guapo. Se dice muy guapo.
Guapo. Dude, and we didn't get into this last time, but man, your Spanish is so rapido. Rapido? Not rapido. Rapido. It's so
Rapido.
fast, man. Like you were like, even when you speak English, you speak really quickly. And I'm trying to learn the language. I'm not learning anything from you, man. You talk too fast. I'm like, no rapido, no habla rapido, no habla rapido. I say all the words wrong. I put all the accents in the wrong spots, but I'm just starting to get it now. And I'm big on the kids. I don't have any myself, but when I run into them down here, I'm like, you speak English? No. I said, you necesito habla inglés, mucho dinero. And for me, it's the same thing. If I want to make money in this country, I got to learn the language. Even though I'm dealing with mostly expats, you do have to deal with, I need to pour love on my locals down here. And if you don't know the language, it's too hard to give them love, man. So I appreciate your grasp of the language and how fast you speak it. And I'm like, I don't know if I can speak that fast even in my native tongue. I don't know if I can speak that fast. I'm trying to speak that fast right now. You know what I mean? It sounds like I'm on Adderall or something. Anyways, thanks for your time. Thanks for your patience. Let's just start out again by you introducing yourself and telling everyone that's watching who you are and how you got to this place.
All right. Well, thanks for having me on today. I really appreciate it. And I'm glad we finally got it working out. We were trying to shoot this before from the golf course. I just finished golfing this morning. I was practicing, and unfortunately, the internet there didn't work very well. But yeah, so I was born in Romania. I was raised in New York City since 1983, and I got into real estate because of my mom. And at one point here, I've been coming to the Dominican Republic since 2001. When I opened up my first firm in Queens, New York, I ended up coming down here for vacation. And I'm from New York City, so I was raised with Dominicans, Puerto Ricans. So the culture for me, that's kind of like why I speak fast in English and every other language, is because I was already used to the culture living in New York. When I came down here, I already knew the food, the music, a little bit of the language. I understood a few things. So it wasn't such a culture shock as people that might be coming from somewhere else. So basically in 2017, I still have 2 apartments in Sosua. I met somebody here. We ended up getting married. I ended up having a business with her, a restaurant in Sosua. Then when that didn't work out, we ended up moving to Punta Cana, and that was the last before we split up. She introduced me to Punta Cana because Punta Cana changed a lot. Even when I was here with her, and in the last couple of years, I never thought I would end up in Punta Cana. I started in Santiago in 2001, so I always thought I would be in Santiago. I spent some time in 2015, I think it was by myself, like 10 days in Santo Domingo. Never really thought I'd end up in that big metropolis either. For those that don't know, I've lived all over the country. Basically, up until recently, I had 4 offices: Santo Domingo, Santiago, Punta Cana, and Las Terrenas. So you can imagine I was looping through the entire country, which, and then living in Sosua Cabarete for a couple of years before that, on and off. It's given me like quite a grasp on how things work here, and not just the local area, because a lot of people can talk about real estate in one local area, but I understand the country, the different areas, how they work, how they interact with each other, which gives me a different perspective than most other people on real estate here. And for those of you guys that see me in the expat groups, I'm very vocal, very opinionated, but it comes from, a lot of experience, and that's what it is. And I use that experience to help people, not just in real estate, but just in anything. I've become one of those people that people reach out to me all the time in direct messages, where they ask me for my WhatsApp, whether it's insurance, whether it's like, hey, I'm hiring recently, yesterday, somebody had a person working, a house worker in their house, like, what do you call it, a maid, and they didn't know they had to pay taxes. They didn't know how liquidation worked or anything like that. So I'm able to offer people kind of a different, perspective of how life is here. Yes, the real estate part is what I do, what I love to do. I've been doing it for 25 years, but this everything else, especially for an expat, or somebody moving into a different country, that they need to know. The property is one big, very important part of that, but which area, why that area, what are you looking for? What goes into moving down here permanently, or what goes into being here as a snowbird, what goes into just investing here and having your property generate income, if that's what you're looking to do. There's so many different moving pieces, and it's a custom plan for every different person depending on what they're looking for. And that's something that I love to help people out with, because I didn't have a blueprint in this, and I laugh about it. If you haven't seen any of my posts, I've been through the 7 rings of hell. And that happens, when you're moving from a different country to a country where the culture is not your own, the language is not your own, and you stand out. A lot of us physically stand out, so there's a lot of stuff that comes into play when it comes to that. And there's vacationing is one thing, going a few times a year is one thing, but living in a different country and, having the courage to pick up where you've worked, lived your entire life, have friends, family, and to completely relocate to somewhere else, it comes with a culture shock, and it's okay. Mm-hmm. And it's normal.
Yeah.
I think, a lot of times people think that, I'm going to just move somewhere, it's going to be perfect. One thing I tell people, there's no such thing as perfection, right? Yeah. It's just, you just have different theaters, like in World War II, they had a theater, and life is a battleground, and you have a different battleground, a different theater that you're going to move to because you like it better. And, a lot of people move down here. They want the warm weather. They want the more laid back vibe. They want golf. They want all these different things. And there are a lot of things that come into play. And not just here, I travel a lot to Panama, Colombia. So just being a foreigner, especially in Latin America, where things work differently. They're different in Latin America, and they're different for each country, at different speeds, things move differently. It's really important to be able to learn and adapt. Like you said, I speak really fast. The reason I speak really fast is that's part of my adaptation here. I speak so fast that I even confuse locals sometimes. They're like, wow. And they're just like, all right, well, this guy's been here for a very long time. Yeah. It's almost it's a survival mechanism that I've used, that I've picked up, I've learned that. What's really funny is I also could change my dialect a little bit. Obviously I'm Romanian, American from New York City. I don't have my own dialect. My natural dialect is more of a Dominican dialect, which is the first way that I've learned how to speak Spanish. Okay. But I change it. If I go to Puerto Rico, I speak more like them. Right. It's a totally different, more nasal. Yeah. In Colombia, I try to switch it up a little bit because they don't understand half of what I'm saying.
Like a Colombian. I see. No.
Sí, pues, pero los colombianos hablan español totalmente diferente, pues que. And then if I say certain things, they don't mean anything. Like if I say, oh, this is chulo, una chuleria, like in Dominican, if something's really nice, like, wow, que chuleria. In Colombia, that doesn't mean anything. Right. A chulo, I think, is a bad thing they explain to me. It's like a person that's like arrogant, I don't know, something like that. Right. So every different country has something different. I'm in Panama a lot. Panamanian Spanish in Panama City is very clear, very cut. They're not very overly emotional. So when they see me like, hey, David, blah, 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 they're just looking at me like, what's wrong with this guy? Why has he got so much energy? So, I use those things to adapt. Even here, like, my accent, it's like if I speak a lot of times, like if I have a couple of drinks, I'm speaking to my friends, I use the R's and I for me, which is like the Cibao accent. And it trips people out because they're like, how does this guy talk like that? But that's a dialect that I speak naturally, and how I've learned how to speak it. I turn it off in business, and I turn it off if I'm like in the capital, because they're heavier on the R. And then if you're in other parts of the country, the L. So, the R, the I, or the L, it's used the same, it's different, used differently. And those things, they help you. I tell people one of the best things to do when you're moving to a country. Learn the basics, right? Learn how to say the city that you're in, learn the accent marks and stuff like that, and just practice. I know a lot of times people have like, a complex. I see it Latin American or other people coming into the States being afraid to speak English, and other people being afraid to speak the language of where they're going to. But I think my thing is, I really don't care what people say. If you're trying, then you're doing your best.
Right.
And that's and that's what people should try to do, because it is a game changer. The more you speak a language in whatever language in the country that you're going to go to, it is a complete game changer. And it helps you navigate everything from getting your light fixture fixed in your house when it goes out, to calling somebody, you're working out a phone plan and understanding how things work. It's definitely a game changer. And I think that helps people long term.
Dude, there's so much there to talk about, but I come from a real estate family too. My mother managed multiple Remax brokerages in Niagara. She had Grimsby and St. Catharines and Fawn Hill, and under the broker, and it was just a natural for me and my brother to get into the business. And so I want to talk a little bit about the differences between the South Coast or the east side of the island and the North Coast. Obviously, I'm a North Coast guy. I don't go to the South Coast and pretend I know what I'm doing. I'd like you to be my guy, if not you, one of your teammates, to I got to be able to refer people down there that aren't going to drop the ball, that I know I can trust to pay the commission or a referral or anything like that, and vice versa on the North Coast. But I'm a Sosua honk. I mean, I really like Cabarete. My office is in Cabarete. But I don't know. I've become really comfortable in Sosua. I love the culture. I love the small town feel. And so I want people to locate to the North Coast. But, lots of my friends will come down here and go, Jimmy, I'm in Punta Cana. Let's get together. I'm like, dude, you're 4 hours away. I'm not driving 4 hours to watch the football game with you. It's just not in the cards today, And having said that, I've never been to the South Coast. I don't know what Punta Cana involves. But I've kind of got a small town feel here in Sosua. I like it. I see Punta Cana and the capital and other places as like the big city, where prices are probably a little bit more, where rent's going to be a little bit more. So give me the pros and cons. What you see as not like a native, but a guy that's got a good grasp on the country and the advantages of being on the South Coast and the North Coast. If you could really dive into that a little bit.
I definitely can, and I really enjoy explaining this, because I actually think I know it better than most locals. Because what happens is local people, just maybe not just here, I think it happens everywhere. You get to know where you're from, your piece of the world, right? And like I'm from New York, I can't tell you much about Miami, right? But somebody that's back and forth between New York, Miami, LA, they probably know stuff better than I do. So this is where this comes in, because I've lived everywhere, and I worked in real estate for 3 months in Sosua Cabarete, with Coldwell Banker before I left to the north, to the East Coast here in Punta Cana. So I'll give you, we all have preferences, right? People that know me know that my preferences are, the East here, Punta Cana, right? And I've lived in the North Coast. I had a place in the office for 6 months in Las Terrenas. So I understand that area. And I lived and still live, just switching apartments in Santo Domingo right now. I had an apartment in Santiago for right now that I'm probably going to give up because I don't have time to get there like I used to before. So I can give you definitely a really, really great example. Now, Sosua, the North Coast, when we talk about the North Coast, there's really two pieces of the North Coast, right? We're talking about Sosua Cabarete, and then the outskirts, Rio San Juan, people that really, really want to be remote over there, like Campo style or whatever. And then you have Puerto Plata, which is a totally different market than Sosua Cabarete. The brokerages that, I refer people to, I have people that actually I refer to also in Sosua Cabarete brokerages, and they refer back to me. We've closed $1 million deals, because I'm well known. I used to own 2 apartments there in La Mulata. I used to own 1 apartment in Montevista, and I used to own 1 right there by Superpola. So I bought apartments there. People know me. I refer business all the time. So when it comes to that, we do a lot of great business. Sorry to interrupt,
but Montevista is a beautiful resort, and I kind of live in one similar in Caribe Campo here in Tropimar. It's an old
right. You had Juan was your manager there.
Yeah, he's still here, and dude, he's nailing it. And for the
so
longest
his son is
time,
my guy. I'm his son's godfather.
No, I love Juan, and you know what? We had really bad management here for many, many years, where guys were just stealing all the money. And Juan's got it together. I really love it. The whole administration staff here is unbelievable. But similar to Monte Vista, and I don't know it that well, but it looks similar to my compound here, for lack of a better word, the complex. There's 121 units They're also around a huge pool. There's a nice mix of locals and expats, and the security's good. You're up off the road, so it's quiet, similar to Monte Vista. But I haven't seen anything similar to Caribe Campo and Monte Vista on the north coast at all. It's just the only two buildings that I know of that are like this. But beautiful.
I'll tell you
spots.
why.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. Because those are older buildings that were built when land was cheap there. Right now, land, no matter what, even before the boom pre-COVID, even the post-COVID boom, land just got more expensive. So it makes it more difficult for people to buy and create something that big. When land is more expensive, all the new projects going up are going to be smaller projects, right? They're going to be, 20 units, 30 units, 40, 50 units. You're not going to, even if they're units, they're more built like closer together versus they're more spread out just because of cost of land, which you're not going to be able to duplicate those kind of projects anymore because of that. Because of the cost of land, because of the cost of building also, what were they building back then for? I don't even know, before COVID, you could build that kind of style. I think it was like 18,000 pesos a square meter, not including the pool and Línea Blanca, right? Wow. So 18,000, what were they paying? To 8,000 back when they built it a square meter plus the land. So those things are not happening anymore. But yeah, in regards to that, what happens is you have different people that are looking for different things. And a lot of it, I think, also has to do in part where you come from, right? One thing I've come to the realization after living all over the country here is that I need my Santo Domingo. I love Santiago. I wish I could be there. It's a little further from Punta Cana, but I love my Santiago and my Santo Domingo. I love the city. I love seeing the city on the weekend when it's quiet. I love seeing the streets. I love all of this. I'm a city kid at heart. I like the beach and everything like that, but I got to the point when I got separated and I tried it. I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to take 6 months off and I'm just going to sit at the beach. After 1 month, I lost my mind. 15 minutes felt like 15 hours, or vice versa. It was just, I couldn't do it. So there are different things that people are looking, and it depends on what lifestyle, where you come from, right? If you come from a smaller town, I think you're going to enjoy Sosúa, Cabarete. It's got a little bit of everything. It's kind of a mix. If you want more off the beaten track with beautiful beaches, I can understand the charm of Las Terrenas for the people there. I know the pros and cons in every single area here, because everything has pros and cons. I love Punta Cana, but it has its cons. Yeah. It has its cons. Santo Domingo has its cons.
Well, you don't see Bentleys and Lamborghinis driving down the street that often in Sosúa, Cabarete, but in the big towns, you see a lot of money manifest in automobiles, like huge money.
I'm one of those people. I drive an expensive BMW. I like my car. I like driving on the highway. One of the things I enjoy, I spend more time in my car than I do in my apartment.
Right.
So, besides the sleeping part, right? So at the end of the day, to me, that's equally important. Some people I see in the groups like, you're crazy. Why are you driving that? Get a beat down car. And it sucks. My car's in the shop right now getting fixed. I have full coverage, thankfully. So hopefully I get it back in another week or whatever, because the parts came in from Germany. I have learned to just, it's like they say here, it's what Dios quiere. It is what it is. It's all part of it here.
It's just a car.
But I built my life and it's just a car, and I drive a lot. I do at least 1,000 miles a month, and that's a lot in a small country like this.
Yeah.
So I want to be safe. I want power, and I just really enjoy driving. It's one of those things to me.
Yeah, when you
slide,
like food. I had a 535, and the first time I slid in that seat, it fit like a good suit. And what it does for your self-esteem. I'm not a big guy that wears brand name clothes or you got to drive a brand name car, but I'm telling you, the first time I slid in that 535, I was in love. My eyes got this big. So I hear you. When your car's comfortable, and I drove the wheels off the 535, and thank God I don't have one of those in this country because I'd end up in a lot of trouble. But just getting back to the pros and cons of the north versus the east versus the south. Maybe you can touch on that a little bit because I'm interested in your take on that.
So I'll tell you my feedback, right? So let's just talk about the beach towns, because Santiago and Santo Domingo are just Dominican cities. And if you're not fluent in the language, if you don't like city life and bars and nightlife and clubs like you would in New York or Houston or Miami or LA, it's not going to be for you, right? Or Medellin or whatever. So it's not going to be for you. It's going to, you're not going to have the beach. Right. So that's what it's going to be. Now let's touch base on the pros and the cons of the beach towns, right? When we're talking about Puerto Plata first, Puerto Plata has beaches there. Not everybody thinks they're that clean when it comes to the Malecón because the drainage that comes down from the hills and stuff like that. But it is more affordable. You're able to find a unfurnished or furnished Dominican style apartment. It's cheaper than Sosúa and Cabarete. It's cheaper than Las Terrenas by the beach. So a lot of expats like going there because they can get that mix of like Santiago prices, but have beaches and Playa Dorado is really nice there. They have a lot going on. They have a Jumbo. They have all of that. So that's the pros for them. The cons to me, it's just still, a late city, as I call it.
Right.
You travel other places in Latin America, you get to see how far behind we are when it comes to nightlife and things like that. But it does work for the people. They get the girls, they get the nightlife, the chicas. And, to be honest, a lot of guys like coming out here for that. And there's nothing wrong. That's what they do, and that's their lifestyle. Sosua and Cabarete are two different, like brother and sister, right? Because they're different. Sosua has really nice beaches. It has the chica nightlife. It has the expats, like especially Canadian expats, the couples that are there, Jolly Roger. They have their bars. They have all that nice stuff. So you have like kind of two different scenes mixed into each other. Sure. Then you have a third kind of family scene, which they like being near Playa Sosua, Playa Alicia, and and all that kind of stuff. So you have that kind of a mix there, right? Then you have Cabarete, which is for surfers, kiteboarders, and all these different people, plus a little bit more upscale certain parts of it than Sosua. But then you also have the Loma, whatever that is in the back over there, where you could live like a Dominican for cheap. Mm-hmm. So for people that want to live like the ethnic, what they call life, or whatever the case may be. So you have a mix of different styles there. And like you said, a lot of what I hear from people that I saw when I lived there as well, they like that small town feel. The downside is you're still remote. When I try to buy, I call it the Miami style, like a patio set, 2 chairs, one couch with the little table that have like the red or beige cushions or whatever. Yeah. They were charging me double to triple of what they were charging in Santiago on the road to the highway to get in for the same thing, because they know it's a bunch of expats and you don't have opportunity to get stuff there. You go to Ilumela Outlet and you can find like CB2 and Crate and Barrel style furniture, for the price of Crate and Barrel, but they're going to charge you 5 times for something that's old in those areas because it's remote, which takes us down to Las Terrenas, beautiful beaches, kind of a cool hipster vibe, lots of more Europeans mixed in there, but you're super remote. You want to buy a TV? Super expensive. You want to buy a printer? Sometimes you can't even find batteries. Sometimes you can't, people fighting for the last box of pasta at Christmas at Pola. Yeah. But the beaches and the nightlife make it worth it for them. They still got that barrio feel, and you still get to go to all the beautiful things that the Samana Peninsula has to offer. You've got Samana right near there, Salto de Limon, mountains, hills, beaches, and everything going on ATVs. So it has its pros and cons. It's remote and it's expensive to get to because of the tolls. It's one of the most expensive places to get to. And you bought something that has a warranty and it broke. Guess where you have to take it for repairs? Yeah. Santo Domingo. And just the peajes, the tolls and the gas and everything going to spend almost doesn't even make it worth it sometimes. So that's the pros and cons to that. The East here we'll talk the different parts of the East, right? So we're talking about Bayaibe. I'll start with that. But it's a small European village, beautiful, some of the best water in the country. And then you have Isla Saona, Isla Catalina there. Next to Bahia de las Águilas is one of the best places. Like if you can put a boat there or whatever, it's stunning, stunning, stunning. Then you have Casa de Campo. Casa de Campo is all the wealthy Dominicans, all the founders of the country, the top politicians, they all have their homes there. It's ultra. It's one of the strongest real estate markets in the entire country. Always. They don't really dip there. They don't have a dip. Even during COVID, they had an increase in pricing and sales and very little vacancies because all the wealthy Dominicans bought homes there to run away from COVID in the big cities. It is one of the most exclusive. It is the most exclusive, I would say, maybe top place in the country. Then you get over to the East where we're at. One of the biggest downfalls that we have in Punta Cana is that it was originally built around resorts, so public beach access is limited. For anybody that's been to Puerto Rico, they have these bañeros, I can never say it right, bañeras, whatever, and like parking lots with beaches and everything like that everywhere throughout Puerto Rico. Here, unfortunately, they didn't do that. So beach access and or private beach access is a super mega plus, because on the weekends now, and when the next 30, 40, 50,000 units that are under construction get built or whatever it is over here, when you try to go down on the beach on the weekends and you don't have public access, I like to joke around, you might need a donkey or a mule to get there because you're not going to have parking for your car, so learn to ride. That's one of the downsides to this area. Also, Punta Cana, obviously it's not like the North Coast where you have the rolling hills and all of the, the trees and stuff like that. It is flat because of the topography of the area. It's a flat area, right? So it's just like you're not going to have the views. But what you're going to get here is infrastructure. If you're looking for a mix, especially now, so, a lot of people, I want to clear up. A lot of people, especially in the North Coast, have said, oh, it's just hotels. There's nothing there. It's, Monte Culebra, as we say it, right? Mountains and what do you call them? Spiders. But no, that was like that before. Pre-COVID, everything started, a boom started here. And it has continued even more. What do I mean? Number one, hospitals. One of the reasons why I live here, I am big on hospitals. Trauma centers. I have things. My daughter, had an accident in New York City where if she wasn't near a trauma center, she would be here today. To me, that's important. Having a hospital with a trauma center, having top, notch care. I know somebody who had a heart problem and they took care of him until he healed up in one of the major hospitals here, right? When you're sick and being like, oh my God, I feel something. I'm 2 hours away from a real hospital. It gets really serious really quickly, and I wish that on no one. So number one, I really am a firm believer in being near hospitals, not just one, but several hospitals. Shopping, Nacional. I know I get a lot of heat for this. During the COVID, they wanted to send the posse from the north to burn me at the stake because I took pictures and I showed them dry aged beef and boar's head products that we have in Nacional. I love that. I love my, milk-free cheddar and Swiss. I love my pastrami. I love boar's head. I like that stuff. I buy a lot of, imported goods. For me, I moved down here. Many people who move to this area, they move down here because they want that high quality of life. They don't want just rice and fried salami and plantains for lunch. They want that kind of lifestyle. So what ends up happening is it has that. We have Almacén Unidos that's coming here. I don't know if you guys know what Unidos is from Santo Domingo, but it's got furniture and supermarket and one of the biggest ferreterias, hardware stores that you could see in all in one. We've got IKEA here where a lot of products are available on hand, and then the rest, they come in right away on delivery. We have Alice. We have all this stuff that's growing here. So if you're looking for amenities, hospitals, highways, it takes me driving nicely in my BMW from here to the airport in Las Americas an hour and 20 minutes. Then getting the traffic into Santo Domingo is another thing. But I'm an hour and 20 minutes away between Blue Mall and there.
Right.
So that, and the last thing that a lot of people don't talk about, the reason, and I'm a firm believer, and for those that like the small areas like Sosúa, Cabarete, and Las Terrenas, those are going to continue to be like that. And I'll explain to you why I don't think they're growing as much as people think they are. There might be some slight growth, and we won't know for another 2 to 3 years, and I'll tell you how. But the reason why, what it is, it's world-class golf. If we know people love golf, if you go from Santo Domingo, from one of the exclusive Santo Domingo Country Club, Cayacoa, and coming this way, Metro, PGA Oceans 4, all of the Casa de Campos, Die, Teeth of the Dog, coming all up this way. Then here you have Punta Espada, #1 in the Caribbean in Mexico, Las Canas, Corrales. I play at a Barrel Star. I was just there today. Golf, golf, golf. If you are a golfer, you're going to naturally come to this side of the country just because of that. You might, I know golfers that love Sosúa and Cabarete, but they buy and they move here because of the golf, if that makes any sense. So that's one of the main things that, they would need there to do the growth. And the reason how I look at growth, always, people say, oh, there's growth. Well, it's hard to tell with the COVID numbers, obviously the COVID the 2 years that we were closed down or whatever, but you always track the airports, right? When I lived in Sosúa and Cabarete, I looked before pre-COVID, the last 10 years, you had an 850,000 arrivals on average. So there was no significant growth in arrivals. But now here you can look at Punta Cana and we're getting 500 flights a week. Yes, a lot of those people are going to resorts, but a lot of those people are not as well. And that shows in the development and in the sales of property here. So I don't know if that makes any sense. That's the reason why a lot of people are coming to this area: development, amenities, and golf.
Cool.
And that's the difference.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that's a fulsome account of answer for my question there. What is your hottest property right now? Like when I was in St. Catharines, it was always the North End 3-bedroom brick bungalow north of Lakeshore Road. That's the premium. So in your area, what do you find is the hottest thing? What are people like? What's the hottest thing that you can't keep on the shelf? The type of listing.
It's a very hard question. I'm gonna try to answer it as best as I can, because see what happens is when you deal with Sosúa, you have Sosúa, right? If by the beach, or you have the cheaper stuff in the hills, and that's it, right? Here it's very different. It's hard to say because the area is totally, for those of us that live here, it's really hard to explain, but I'll give you an example. Punta Cana Village, right? Most expats don't know what Punta Cana Village is because it's more wealthy Dominicans, like executives and stuff that, people from Santo Domingo with money that work here in businesses, get paid very well, come from families with money. They live in that area. Those things, they come and they go like hotcakes. You can't keep them on the shelf. Las Canas, which is part of Cap Cana, but it has a lower maintenance outside of it, right, which is the same type of people, executives that come here. You can't, those things are selling like hotcakes because they offer access. Punta Cana Village, you have access to Punta Cana Resort and Playa Blanca. Okay. Here you have access to Juanillo and everything there. Those are hot. In the beach area, basically, I would say affordable luxury properties. What does that mean? You're talking about properties that are walking distance to the beach, that are in the 150s to 250s, 300. That's what's really moving right now. People, because it's so hard to explain for those that are not from here, because there's different hot areas for different people, if that makes any sense.
Right. No,
you know, you have people that you have people that don't want to have a car. They want to be near mini markets and they want to walk to the beach in Cortecito and Corrales. For them, it's all about Corrales and Cortecito, and there's really not much inventory there right now. Right now, projects in Corrales, Cortecito are all sold out mostly. We're trying to get some resales, and anything priced well, it's not staying on the market because it's an area where you can survive without a car.
Right.
So you have that, you have Punta Cana. Cap Cana also is taking off after the pandemic. The development in Cap Cana, the unique projects that are coming here, the new golf course that's coming here, Las Iguanas and all that, they're selling like hotcakes as well. So there are multiple projects right now. It's not one. We can't narrow it down to one. It depends on what the person's looking for and their price point. Two different things. Price point in terms of the price of the property, but also the monthly maintenance, which can vary by area depending on the amenities that the project and property bring to you or give you.
What's the potential in your area for pre-construction sales? Because I know some people stay away from it, but it seems like it's flying off the shelf because there's just no inventory, and the resale market is going through the roof, while the new market seems to be really reasonable. And I know that's going to have an effect on resales because even a place like Casa Linda, you know, they're pushed back, you know, a year or over a year for delivery date. Some people that want immediate income and a place to live now, they're putting upward pressure on the prices of the resale homes in Casa Linda. So tell me about the opportunity with the pre-construction sales.
I believe that if you're able to buy in pre-construction, you're going to get, we call it in Spanish, plusvalía. You're going to get your value. You're going to make 10, 20% on the property. I've seen it a million times here.
So by the time it closes, you're going to see a 10 or 20% lift, just like back home. If you buy pre-construction in North America, in my little town, by the time it closes, you've almost doubled your money, at least 50% more. Like, I mean, and you know, when I was down here, a good Russian friend of mine said, Jimmy, the best thing you can do is forget everything about back home. That is not Sosua. That's not Cabarete. That doesn't exist down here. I tend to disagree because I'm selling a studio 1,000 feet from the beach in Sosua. Geez, they start furnished at 117. That's not going to be available 2 years from now. You'll never be able to touch that.
Santo Domingo prices. That's Santo Domingo prices. You're selling them from La Julia, and Bella Vista, and Evaristo Morales prices. You guys are getting choice areas in Santo Domingo prices on those kind of projects there. And here it is, but I want to clarify something, right? Because I don't want to make it a broad statement on choice properties. What do I mean by that? So Sosua is obviously a little bit smaller, but here it's really big, and you have two sides. The side to the right of the highway as you're going up towards Miches, which they're developing all the way to Miches. That's a whole nother story there. Tons of stuff coming up there. And then you have the side to the left. The side to the left of Miches, on the other side, on the highway, on the way to Miches. On the left side, there are a lot of different projects and developments there that, if people ask me, what do you think the plusvalía is going to be there? What do you think is going to happen there? I could tell you, privately, I can talk to people and tell them what I think, but I have to say TBD, to be determined, because they're new areas. They don't have beach access. They have amenities, but they don't have beach access, which, being in a beach town, and here everything's kilometers. Like Bávaro Punta Cana, just so you know, it's not like, oh yeah, like I lived in La Mulata and I was 1.5 kilometers or whatever from the beach. That's nothing, or 3 kilometers, whatever it was, I don't know. Here, everything's 7 kilometers, 8 kilometers. So you're in Bávaro and you want to come down to Nacional to get Boris Head, you're going to have a 25, 30-minute drive coming out of there and coming down. So it's much more spread out here. So these newer developments, it's hard for me to say, well, hey, you're going to get this much return on that. Now, if we're talking about places like Las Canas, part of Cap Cana, if we're talking about Punta Cana Village, if we're talking about Corrales, Cortecito near the beach, if we're talking about White Sands where you have beach access in certain places, depending on what the price point is, I can give you a much better guide on what's going to happen. But I want to, to be fair to people, right? I can't give you an accurate opinion on what I think something's going to go up in value in an area that's just being created now that doesn't have beach access, if that makes sense.
Right.
You know, there's choice properties, and I'm really big on location. You can show me the nicest place with nicest amenities and bells and whistles and a Ferris wheel and I don't know, whatever you want to put in the damn thing. But location is something, as you know, coming from a real estate family, you can change inside, you can renovate the apartment, you can make it look nicer, you can change the furniture, the building can clean itself up and redo the pool and redo whatever they want to do to make it nicer. The one thing you cannot do is change location. And one thing when I speak to buyers, I'm like, based on your budget, buy the best location. Sometimes it's a smaller apartment, sometimes, you know, or an older apartment that you might have something to do, or something that maybe doesn't come with the finishes that you want that you can change later on when you have more money. For $5,000-$10,000, you can change the floors, you can change the cabinets or whatever. But you can't change location. So no, yes, you can get, you know, a 10 to 20% growth on your property during construction, but it is not all property. Not all properties are built, are created equal, as they say.
I gotcha. And you're speaking my language, and I think you speak in layman's terms too, so the people that aren't well versed in real estate will understand it. And that's one thing I like and don't like down here is that I'm a trained realtor. I've been one for 30 years. I still hold a license in Ontario, Canada, and I paid a lot of money to keep that. City. You know, we got errors and omission insurance. If you step over the line, you lose your license. Like there's serious repercussions. Down here, you don't have that so much. But one thing I want to touch base with you on, because you're so knowledgeable as far as an agent goes, in my hometown in St. Catharines, let's say, when the discount commission came in, it hurt a lot of people because they thought a lower commission meant more dollars in their pocket. And I started a business a while ago that's kind of on the back burner now called the Commission Coach, because Floyd Wickman told me, listen, the discount commission hurts you because everyone else is going to sell. When everyone offers 3% to the buyer's broker and you go 2.5%, that's $7,000 out of the agent's pocket they don't want to show you. And I know down here there's a resort, not a resort, but a complex, a development, okay? Casa Linda. It's 10% to the buyer's broker. We work for 2% at home, 2% to the listing agent, 2% to the buyer broker. Down here, the buyer broker gets it all. But at something like Casa Linda, it's 10%. That leaves me a lot of room to kick back to my buyer for, maybe pick up some legals or send them a nice closing gift or something like that. And then we have another complex, another development down the street. They offer 7% buyer broker commission. And I heard a friend of mine try and buy in there who became a realtor, again, not licensed realtor, became a realtor. She said that she had a hard time getting anyone to show her in that development because the commission was lower. So how are you finding the effect of selling broker commissions? I understand if you're not 10% like we are on the North Coast here, but how do you handle the myth like, well, I want a lower commission? Like if I ask my people, hey, listen, if I bring you full pop, are you willing to pay 10 points? If they were stuck on 5, they've got 5% in their margin that they were expecting to come down because nobody's getting full pop. I mean, once in a while you do. But the idea is, and I tell everyone right off the bat, one of the secrets, there's 2 things that agents don't know how to answer the question to. Hi, it's me. Yeah, I want to sell my house. How much is your commission? Every realtor I know, trained or not, answers that question incorrectly. Just like, when is the best time for me to negotiate a commission with you agents? None of the agents know that. I mean, if they think about it long enough to get the answer. So I just want to test, the waters and see what you think about discount commissions. How prevalent are they here? And how much do they actually affect the bottom line of your vendors, your sellers?
Okay, so I'll give you a quick breakdown, even including the North Coast, right? So when you guys get there between 7, 10%, 10% is unusually high. What happens is because traditionally there wasn't that much movement on that part of the island, and they raised the commission because people, the brokerages raised the commission for whatever reason, which it's great for the agents getting 10%, the brokerages getting 10%. But what happened and what I saw working for the 3 months that I worked in Sosua, like I said, right, is that you basically, and maybe you can attest to this a little bit more, or if things have changed, you get your one shot to make a deal with the agent, right? And I'm sorry, with the buyer. And then afterwards, everything else, once they learn the area, they try to go around you because they figure they can get a 10% negotiation on the price just by cutting you out of it. it cuts out that professionalism. When I first came to Punta Cana and I was living in the village and I saw all these executive brokers here, because there's a lot of executive brokers here from companies that came in from Santo Domingo, and they're there with buyers and everything. And I was like, wow, well, these guys are doing the same thing we're doing back in the States. They're professional people. They don't have time to waste. They want an educated broker, and they don't care that the broker is getting their commission because they're getting a fair commission. So to nickel and dime, but in 10% is a huge number. And I seen it in the expat groups. People are like, no, I'm just going to go directly. Why? I'll find you a place. You go directly. You cut them out. So even though it's a great commission for the brokerage end of it, I think overall it hurts the market and it causes people to really dislike brokers because it is excessive. That's my thought on that. Now, on the discount broker part of it, we actually had that conversation. Somebody that owns a brokerage here posted up on their social media the other day about like, no, the seller says they want to give 4% commission. And he was like, who makes since when do sellers tell us what they're going to pay the commission? The fair commission is between 5 and 6% in the countrywide, right? Okay. That's what it is. Here, and I had an office in Santiago, and that's one of the things I hated in Santiago. Developers giving you 1.5%, 2%. That's the whole commission for selling, right? And I decided that, you know what, my time is worth more than that. I'm not going to tolerate it. And even I train my agents here. I'm sorry, but the going rate is 5%. I wouldn't want somebody taking a pay cut at their job, whatever you do, whatever your salary. Right. If your salary is $100,000 back home, I wouldn't want you to get paid 70 or 80 because, oh, well, you're doing a great job, so I think you should get paid less. Yeah. I've always been, that's one of my things. I won't take the listing. And there are people who do it for less. And in this country, because there's no licensing for now, you have a lot of bucones, we call them, the guy who sells you a tour in the morning, sells you, a chair in the afternoon on the beach. And then he wants to sell real estate too, if you want to buy it. Those are not real estate brokers, right? Sure. They do it all. They're multi-services. Right. And those people are what ruin our name here. A professional brokerage should charge between 5 and 6%. That's what it is, right? Over 5-6%, I feel, unless it's like a situation where it's like you're a master broker, which we see a lot in the country, it allows you to take 2% for yourself, pay out 4, or whatever 5, and you take 2 for yourself, and you're able to co-broke it because we have a lot of that going on. Right. I think Sosu and Cabarete are very different in the way they co-broke and the way they work with each other there. Like here, we have no problem taking 3% on a co-broke. It's the same back like in the United States. But if it's a direct, I'm not taking less than 5% because I need to be able to co-broke it with somebody else as well, just in case.
Awesome, brother. Man, I need to get you back in here because I want to respect your time. We're at 45 minutes already. I know you're a busy man. And just on the way out, tell me how about your golf game?
I'm one of those people. So I've only been golfing for about a year and change now, and I'm getting more practice in now. I'm in a Barrow Star, which is great because I have a project right now exclusively. I sold out Palms 1 in White Sands, which has beach access, and I have 90 units left in Palms 2, plus more stuff coming up in White Sands. I somehow became the White Sands guy, which is great because I like selling people beach access. As we talked about, beach access in Punta Cana is clutch. Long term, short term and long term, right? But I'm one of those people that I did not like golf. I'm going to be honest. Anybody who knows me early last year or whatever, oh, golf, what is that? This is not a sport.
It's a 4-hour waste of a walk.
No, hated it. So one of the North Coast brokers referred someone here. I sold them an apartment in Siete Mares, right? A big, condominium, 4-bedroom apartment overlooking the whole Cap Cana. Wonderful. And this guy's a golf pro. He's been playing golf his whole life. And my friend Troy. So he asked me, he's like, dude, come on, let's play golf one day. He's my client. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to go play golf with the guy, see what this whole thing is about, right? And where do I play the first time? I go and I play Punta Espada. If you've ever played Punta Espada, it is like, and the holy grail of golf here in the Dominican Republic. So after 18 holes of golf with him, I was like, okay, so what bag should I get? What club should I get? I'm going to buy clothes and everything. And that was it. I volunteered the last 2 PGAs every year. I volunteered at the PGA in Corrales because I love to work, see the pros, and I learn from them. Just watching them, and meeting different people, being involved for a whole week in golf is amazing. And all it took was 18 holes in Punta Espada to change my entire life about golf.
And you didn't hit a hole-in-one or sink a 45-foot putt? You didn't have one of those amazing shots that made you come back? You just liked the game in general?
I might have unintentionally killed a few workers on a construction site there.
With a slice or
from my home run that I hit. That's how bad it went. It went the first time, but it was a load of fun, and cigars and a little bit of rum on the golf course actually helps. And it was just a life-changing experience. And ever since then, I play at a Barrow Star now because that's what we're offering to our clients also. So I'm just working together with them, but I play all over the place. I get invited to play everywhere here, Las Casas, Canas, Corrales, Punta Espada. I've got to do more of like the La Romana, Casa de Campo golf courses, because those are amazing as well. And yeah, that's it. I'm just going to keep practicing and just keep getting better.
Awesome, my brother. I appreciate your time, and maybe we'll book another interview when we can actually
Definitely, I look forward to it. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, we can highlight some of the specific properties that you got going on. I can share. You can send me over some links, and we'll talk specifically about the opportunities down there as far as buying goes. And then I'm glad to connect with you. It took us a while to get it all sorted out, but I'm glad you came up in my Facebook feed the other day, man. You were talking. You did a video. I don't know about. Was it you had truck problems or something like this? And I'm like, anytime.
The 500 pesos?
Yeah, anytime. Like one of my buddies was headed out of town. He's like, I just met my first dirty cop. I'm like, dude, buying a cop lunch after he gives you a ticket on the side of the road is not a dirty cop. He's hungry. They get paid shit. You got money in your wallet. I'm glad to buy the guy lunch. The cops are always mi hambre. I'm like, I know that now means hungry. And they're always beautiful human beings. I got no problem. It's not a bribe. It's just like, you know what? You're getting paid shit. Here's lunch and a couple beers for you guys. One guy even made change for me. He was letting me go, and then he says, I'm hungry. And I said, dude, listen, I got 500 pesos on me. I'm not giving it all to you. You got change? He gave me 200 pesos back. I said, well, enjoy your lunch.
There you go.
I mean, I love it.
It's the price of freedom.
It's the price of freedom.
One of my expats, kind of being able to breeze through.
Yeah, one of my expats started talking. I met my first. I'm like, dude, don't do it, man. Don't talk trash about your host company or your host country. You're here as a visitor. You need to, I just respect the locals greatly down here, but there's a certain demographic of Canadians that come down here that won't speak the language. They stay together. They don't even speak English. They don't try and speak Spanish, and they treat the locals like garbage. I'm like, I'm not racist, but some of my fellow countrymen make me embarrassed sometimes.
Other shows that we do, we could talk about it more, because I've learned here. One thing I've learned, and I'll leave on that note. I've learned how to do the push and pull. Mm-hmm. There's a thing here called a push and pull, right? So, because I'm all over a lot of the same places. So one thing I try to make sure that nobody takes advantage of me. And, being in business here, it's not the easiest thing in the world. And just be dealing with just everyday, day-to-day people, whether it's traffic cops, business people, whatever. Mm-hmm. So what I've learned, and I try to teach some of my friends that, is how to push, but then pull right back and kind of diffuse it, and just kind of it's just a way of doing it, and it works. It's worked for me really well here, and that's what works here. It's like, and sometimes I had a friend of mine, he explained to me the same thing. We're talking about it. He's like, listen, man, these guys don't make anything. For 200, 300 pesos, they makes their days. That's it, and that's it. You know what I mean? Just let it go. It's the beauty of, I never have to worry about a speeding ticket. Even if I do, I don't really care, But it's just a matter of just make your life a little bit easier. But I always like to give people tips on how to deal with certain situations. Like the video that I did, I didn't realize that your car is registered. It's not the motor vehicle per se. It's impuestos internos. It's like their IRS here, right? Mm-hmm. So your car is registered there, but it doesn't register to their database, because they only communicate X amount of times a year that they sync up. So I learned something new, and I was sitting there like, what do you mean my plate's not registered? And obviously I want to get that fixed. I don't want to have a problem at 3:00 in the morning. No. Somebody pulls me over, and Santo Domingo, and my plate's not registered. Mm-hmm. But then I found out how that works, and I was like, nice. It's always a learning process.
Well, I appreciate your knowledge and your time, my brother, and I look forward to talking about some specific projects on the way out. Just give us your contact information so people can touch you up if they want to come down to the south or the east or at the capital, wherever they're going.
TCGdominicana.com. My information is there, my email, my phone number, my WhatsApp. I'm always available. Mario Dragos is my name on Facebook, because I used to have Mario Punta Cana, and somebody actually reported my name, so they made me upload my ID. Which is the weirdest thing. If somebody reports your name on Facebook, I don't know if you know that, they actually, to keep your account, they make you like a government-issued ID, because somebody was unhappy that I was using Mario Punta Cana a few years ago. Could you believe that?
I love Dragos anyways. It's a great name, brother. You should
awesome.
Break that
Thank
over.
You so much. Anytime you need, just let me know. We'll definitely do another show.
I love you. That was great. We'll talk soon. Appreciate your time. Peace out.
Thank you, brother.
All right,
be well. Bye.
That's how you do that.
Okay.
Mario Crestman, if you need him. I'm just going to cut you loose. Wow, that is rápido. Rápido. Mucho. Habla mucho rápido. That's a fast talker right there. So let's just get his information up here for y'all. I think I was having some bandwidth issues. So sorry about that. But if you're watching on YouTube, I will upload a solid, glitch-free copy of this later. I just got to hit my appointment in Cabarete for 2:45. Here he is right here, Mario Crestman. This is his details. Mario at tcgdominicana.com. I think the website is definitely in the links below, wherever you're watching. If you're on Twitter, you won't get the links below, but here's his email in the comment section if you want to get a hold of my boy, Mario Crestman from the Crest Realty Group. He's got multiple offices. He's in New York. He's, let's see, where is he? How many offices this guy got? I should have that available, right? Here he is, Santo Domingo, New York City, Punta Cana. What more do you need? And a former North Coast guy. So I'm a North Coast guy. I appreciate his time, and we had a couple glitches. One was my fault. He had a bandwidth issue, and then it appears that I had a bandwidth issue. God bless you. So touch him up if you got any questions. I'm at Dominican Republic at gmail.com. If you want to WhatsApp me, I'm 809-330-8926. 809-330-8926. And I'm getting a lot of action on this Caribe Campo flyer that I put out on a couple of the expat groups. Where's my WhatsApp? I'm just going to pull up my newest one and give you a sneak peek of something that I'm working on now. There it is. Is it going to open? Open. Okay, I got to slide this over. This is, I touched on it with the interview with Mario. This is 1,000 feet from the beach. They start at 117. They're brand new. They're going to have pools. They're going to have, I think they're $250 per square meter condo fees. They start at it says 117. Oh, shoot. That's 117, not 177. I'll tidy that up before we get it to press. Brand new. And how did I get 177 there? Anyways, that's what it looks like. 117 for a studio, right up to 349 for the penthouse. 3-bedroom penthouse, 349. What? Seriously, you won't find these deals in a couple years. So touch me up. I'll take you through that. And I got to get back to a bunch of you on the Caribe Campos. I've got 82,000, 1-bedroom, 65-meter here, and I've got a 65-meter unit that I'll rent to you for $500 a month if you're going to sign a long-term lease. $500 a month or $650 in the high season. So peace, love, hug your neighbor, and I am out.